Hey y'all, it is your favorite nerdy girl here, Nerdy Girl Reviews, and we're back with another recap for Atlanta, episode 10, season finale for season 3. If you would like to see and hear the full commentary, keep me locked here on YouTube. If you're watching this on Instagram, click the link in bio. If you're watching this on IG Stories, click on the link. It'll link you back to my YouTube channel. I'm also available on TikTok under Nerdy Girl Reviews. And if you'd like to catch my other recaps and reviews, you can find me on sofritoforyoursoul.com. Stay tuned, y'all. Yes, y'all. Let's get into this new review with this new look. I already reviewed this wig, and hold on a second. Yes, just giving you all some new on this channel. Yes, it is from Outre. Some people call it Outre, some people call it Outre. Outre Perfect Hairline. It's the Melted Hairline series in the design Geneva, and it is in a color 1, which is a very nice, beautiful jet black hair. I love it. And if you want to see that review or see how this look came together, click on the link. I'll link you probably somewhere here or in the description box below, but check it out. And you can also check out my other wig review, which is the same line but in a nice pretty blonde. Anyway, let's get into this review. I do hope you enjoy these videos because I do try to keep them entertaining. And I didn't get to mention, because I got clipped off, my camera. I'm working on it. I'm gonna upgrade soon. But if you like what you see, yeah, let me know. Do you genuinely like this cut? Is there any questions that you want to ask me about the wig? Feel free. Comments are welcome. Just leave me something in the description box below in terms of styling or just the color or the cut and whatnot. But I'm loving it. And technically, this is not hair. Well, you do see it. You see it in this last episode of Atlanta because of Candace, who is Van's friend. So she has this. I did a combination of between Van, who's very Parisian in the way she's looking for this episode, and then her friend who's visiting from Atlanta, meeting a very eccentric fella. She has this beautiful, press laid out hair. So I gave you a combination of both. So stay tuned. Let's get into this review real quick. I also want to point out that I have it on the side part. I think in the video that I reviewed the wig was the middle part. But again, you can flip it. I'm talking too much about the wig as opposed to the review. But just letting y'all know you can style yourselves, And I think I'm doing a great job because also with the costume, because Van did have something very much like a nice earth tone brown jacket, and of course the traditional stripes, that you'll see like in Paris, France and whatnot. Now we're listening to Amelie, that famous movie and soundtrack. I will be the first to admit, believe it or not, even though I consider myself a big movie buff and I've seen a number of films, I came across that film when I think it first came out, especially on DVD, and Blockbuster was the thing still. Netflix was taking off, but not like Blockbuster. Blockbuster still had a firm grasp on how people would watch movies, and I'd see it, and I never really called my attention. But seeing this final episode, it really piqued my attention, and I believe it won awards. I'm not 100% sure, but it is known. I can't tell you how many film critics that I know, or just fellow fan, movie enthusiasts like myself, who will always name drop Amelie. And so I feel like almost like it's my mission now to see it, but I think it's only available on Amazon or something like that, which I was like, wah. Come on, put it on Hulu, put it on something where more people have subscriptions or Netflix and whatnot. But it's very inspired. I mean, you don't have to see the film, so you get the gist that Amelie was a big inspiration for Van's appearance. And not for nothing, the cut itself too felt very 1994 is The Professional. I have seen that film, and it's a classic too. Natalie Portman is in it as a very young girl, and I think his name is Jean Reno, who I guess it's like her mentor or whatnot in the film. Interesting film. And yeah, that short bob, and not for nothing, that short bob would go on and influence a number of other, you know, productions of art like La Casa de Papel. If you haven't seen that, The House of Paper, is that how it translates to on Netflix? Love that series, and they had 5 seasons, and they also just had final their final season, which was heartbreaking. And I've been meaning to review it, but it's just like it gets a little overwhelming. So excuse for the for the delays on some of the reviews, but nonetheless. So we start off the episode in a very nice Parisian way in a cafe. These three lovely ladies are speaking, and Candace, if we remember Candace was seen in season 2, in that whole episode where I think Van had just broken up with Ern. I forget which one it was. It definitely wasn't 5 or 6, but maybe 7. It's the episode where they're going to like this very exclusive mansion, and then they thought they were going to run into Drake. And Vanna's already dealing with heartbreak, so she goes and whatnot. And it's a really crazy episode, but I feel like I'll do a review on it when I do the review on the season. But for this episode, we haven't seen Candace since then, and then we just see her speaking. Excuse me, and we see her speaking to Van. No, I'm sorry, not yet. She's speaking to 2 girls, and they're like, "Girl, how did you pay for all this stuff and whatever?" And it feels very much like Emily in Paris. If you've seen, and I'll link that too as well. If you, it's somewhere in the description box. I saw its appeal. It's really interesting series, but you got that feel cafe, and Americans in in Paris kind of feel very Sex and the City. And they're talking about the reason why they're there, and that Candace is there because she was paid to be there, not to do, necessarily sleep with somebody, but it's a kink, it's a fetish. She has a suitor who is willing to pay her $5,000 just to pee on him, and so she's basking in the whole ambiance of being in Paris. I mean, $5,000 just to pee on somebody? Come on. So they're already talking about, these very eclectic, eccentric men, and they're like, what else are they willing to pay for? And they're very much tourists in this country, and so they want to see the sights, but and they don't want to do like the typical touristy thing. They wanted to see what real Paris looks like. But Candace admits, like, well, we can see more or less some stuff, but we really want to see like the goods. We're gonna need to hang out with a local. And as she's talking in this cafe, and she's about to chomp on her salad, she notices somebody, and she looks like she's zoned out, and they're like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" She bum rushes like the shop right next door, which was kind of like, I guess, a butcher shop. And that's your indication of what we're about to see. It's a butcher shop. And then I love how they kind of like, on certain cuts of meat, it spells out Atlanta. I love how creative they get when it comes to like placing the logo of the show. The brand of the show. And so she's buying a piece of meat. She has this little cute little bob. Now we don't see Van in her traditional beautiful fro. It's just like very Amelie. And she has this striped shirt and this brown jacket. She's speaking French. And she's like, Van, it's Candace. She's like, oh, no, 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 no. And a whole, like, get up with the whole accent thing. I mean, kudos to the actress who plays Van. She really was feeling her fantasy when it came to putting on that accent, because she really, and again, this happens to a lot of Americans once they leave the country, they leave the United States. I mean, or they've adopted another culture. It happened to Madonna, right? They kind of start picking up the accent, but she starts sounding like almost like she was born and raised in Paris. And there are moments where she's like struggling to even think of English words, like it went all over the place. So she almost didn't, like, she knew who she was, but she was faking. And then after a while, she was like, ugh, like you could see it in her face. She was like, the gig is up. I'm just gonna have to be like, hey girl, but in her own way, her own little French way. And she's like, what are you doing here? So this then moves over to her, I believe, pad, her apartment that she shares with somebody else. There's a picture in the I guess apartment, and it's Van cozied up with this really nice French white boy, and Candace notices and is like, who's this and whatnot. And she's like, oh, she doesn't really give specifics. And every time that Candace wants to approach like her bedroom or her kitchen, she keeps stopping her. Like there's something there she doesn't want her to see. And they go briefly for like maybe a glass of wine. And she's like, oh, we must go. We must go. Like she had more exciting things to show them or whatever. So, which she does. And again, there's a highlight here, which I don't know if I'm seeing it being shared, like it being a common thread with most episodes, I mean with most shows, because they had the luxury of shooting during COVID. The streets are abandoned, so you got so much opportunity for footage, and the streets look ideal. They were like super congested and whatnot. So they get on all these little cute mopeds, and then they drive over to this beautiful, luscious hotel. They're in the middle of a wedding. They see all this stuff. She's, very friendly with the concierge, and she heads up Van, and she's bringing her friends to, introduce them to her very famous friend. And of all people, it's Alexander Skarsgård from freaking True Blood. And I've mentioned on my channel my love and devotion to that show, and oh my god, so much great talent came from that show, which I feel like almost maybe this summer I might revisit True Blood and review per episodes. I think there were 6 or 7 seasons, so I feel like I definitely want to go back to all those good exciting episodes, and there was definitely a lot of skin displayed by Alex even for that series. So not for nothing, just the fact that he was on board to kind of play himself and make fun of himself. I mean, did you see True Blood? He was willing to go there for True Blood, and not for nothing. I don't know if a lot of other reviewers recall or whatnot. Maybe they do, but they just didn't mention it. I feel like he's up to doing anything. He seems like a very fun guy. And the fact that he also did Lady Gaga's paparazzi video, I mean, it just tells you. I feel like he just breaks boundaries, and he's willing to like give himself that permission to play, and that's what I love about him as an actor. So, the fact that they get to the room and they're like, oh God. It's like I would like they have the same reaction that I think any red-blooded female or just fan of the show in general would be like, that's Peter Skarsgård. And from what I heard, though, I think it was supposed to be Ryan Gosling, but he wasn't available for the shoot. But come on, still Alexander's freaking hot. So here he is in his beautiful self, and they're like, he's just kind of like listening to Ashanti of all. like an old track, like mid 2000s Ashanti, and he's talking about like, is she still with Nelly? Like that was like how many years ago? But that was the funny part about it, you know. And he's just like feeling his oats, feeling his old groove, and he's like, you know what? I'm thinking, should we all kind of get naked? And like, it kind of makes you think too. Like, I mean, again, I don't know. We often like to put our celebrities on pedestals because of the remarkable work that they push out sometimes. But we also forget that they're human beings, and that sometimes they have like these fetishes, and that they can be like super on the wacky side. So you don't know. And they were kind of like, we're kind of good, but we don't mind seeing you naked. And the fact that he does strip, and he strips down to some like leopard print speedos, it's like, oh, and that jazz, honey, that, oh, he maintain himself. Because back in the True Blood days, he always like was like rock solid, that chest. So I'm not surprised. And so the girls are like, yeah. And so Van goes in the bedroom with Candace, and she's like, make sure he doesn't come back here. And again, with the whole French accent and everything. And she starts laying out crazy amounts of crap, like drugs all over the place, drug paraphernalia. Like there's cocaine here and crack over there and a crack pipe. And Candace's like, what is going on here? Like, what are you doing? And she's like, what? And you're questioning me? Like she didn't want to be judged or whatever the case may be. And I guess her friends in the meantime had mentioned that Candace was there because of, you know, her own guy with his fetishes and whatnot. So, you know, she's like, you're not one to judge me or whatever the case may be. And she's like, okay, time to go. And then they all head out. And then she starts doing this whole like acting bit with the concierge and letting them know, like, please go help. You know, he's like supposedly going on some drug binge and he needs help ASAP, and to call the cops. And they're like, what are you... Everybody here is dumbfounded. Nobody understands what is happening. We're having, again, they're still playing this really cutesy soundtrack of Amelie in the background. And then she stole some keys that Alex had stored somewhere. And then they go to another sketchy part of town in Paris. And they're like, where are you taking us? And it's just like, you wanted to see real France. So you're like, she's giving you what you wanted. So they park somewhere, which it looks like Paris's version of the projects. I mean, every country has it, but it's like, okay. And they're like fumbling through this box or whatever the case may be, and she doesn't find whatever she was there for. And then before you know it, then there's like this group of people that, like, it looks like a little gang that they're about to attack her or whatnot. And they call her by this name. They're not calling her Van. They're calling her the title of the episode. They're calling her Tarare, which again, it's known to Paris or Parisians. I don't know if it's folklore or if it genuinely did occur, urban legend or whatever the case may be.